You call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling degenerate prick. You know that's what you are?
Well, hello, you degenerate fox, and welcome to the Degenerate Gambler. It's Wednesday, the 24th of May. Just back on another episode. I missed last week, so apologies for that. Yeah, last week was just really busy. I had no time to record. I didn't even pick my bet until Friday night. But look, we've only got this week really to go, and then obviously the Champions League's the week after, so I probably will do an episode, but it'll probably just be more about like a season review. This episode, so I haven't done any stats the last couple of weeks because there's been very little games on, so there's not really much point. What I'll do is I'll just give you a quick run over of last week's bets, and then this week I've picked two bets, one for Saturday and one for Sunday. Now I probably will do a few other smaller bets. The bet on Sunday is just Premier League only because it's the last day. Um, Saturday's bet's a bit just a few different. And I think it's the last game in Germany on Saturday. Italy, I think, has another week after that, but maybe midweek Italy finishes on. But anyway, so I've two bets picked, and I've already placed them. But I want to talk about last week, and I mean even the week before, because obviously I missed last week's episode. I had a few very frustrating bets that were beat by, one team, one goal, one bad result type thing. Well, last week was the absolute worst. That's probably the worst I've had. Four bets. I think I did something like maybe six bets all weekend. Maybe not even, maybe only five. And four of them were agonizingly close. And you know what? Sometimes people say, oh, if I'm getting close, that's a good thing. But sometimes I find that can be even more frustrating because you're so close, you can almost fucking taste it. And then for the lose four times, out of five is very hard to take. At least sometimes if you're nowhere near, you can sort of change your tactics. You can have a look at what you're doing and make some changes. If there's stuff you're not doing, maybe you're not following your normal process, or you need to think outside the box. But when you're so close, I guess it means you're on the right track, but you just can't get that over the line. So the main bet on Saturday that I posted, I think it was early Saturday morning, was Fulham both to score. That was up. Atalanta to win. They came back from one down. Lille both to score. Was up. Mets both to score, up. And the other game was Arsenal. Now you could say, well, they were getting beat early, but the sort of thing in that one is, I think most people would expect that Arsenal to win. They're going, even though it was unlikely they'd win the league, they at least keep the pressure on City, so that City won the league without having to kick a ball. And I watched that game, and Arsenal didn't even look like scoring. They were fucking terrible. Now, I know Martinelli was missing, but even at that, you know, Odegaard played, Saka played, Gabriel Jesus up front, and they just didn't even look like scoring a goal. I think they may have hit the post or something, but from watching it, I was like, this isn't going to happen. And then that evening, while the main bet was still running, I threw together another bet. So I had Bayern and over Bayern game to be both to score and over 3.5 goals. And Bayern lost 3-1. There was actually two penalties in that game. Leipzig beat them. So I got a bit of luck there. I had Sao Paulo to win. They did. I had Ludogorets over two. I mean, that was 6-5. It was a great price in that game. I had Ghent over 2.5, and then Lega Warsaw. And you know what? Before, I have a Polish friend who told me a few times, do not back the Polish league. It's fucking terrible. I stayed away from it for a long time, and that's the first time I've backed the game in maybe 2 years since he told me that. And what do you know? Lega Warsaw was nil each, 98th minute they conceded to lose. Um, the only thing that pisses me off about that is San Lorenzo in, I think, Brazil. Is it Brazil? Brazil or Argentina in South America anyway. I looked at them and they were home and I fancied them too, and I was like, well, I'll pick one of the two. So I went with Liga Warsaw, which looking at the table, they were like second versus fucking like 18th or something. So look, that sometimes that'll piss you off if you had another selection in mind, but that one hard to take. 90th minute goal loses the game. On Sunday, So I had Dortmund to win and over 1.5. They went 2-0. I had both to score in the West Ham game. I had Young Boys to win and over 1.5. I had AZ Alkmaar over 2.5. That was up. And then Halifax and Gateshead in the FA Trophy, I had both to score. And it was 1-0 Halifax. Now, in the stats in that game, and I watched a bit of that game, I watched the second half. Gateshead had some good chances. They had the most chances in the game, but just couldn't score. I did fancy FC20 as well, but what I would say is when I made this bet, the first two selections I made were Halifax both to score and Dortmund to win it over 1.5. So I can't really complain there because I wouldn't Halifax game would have been in there anyway. It would have been one of the other games that I would have took out. Because when I looked at it, I fancied Dortmund because obviously Bayern lost the night before, so if they win, they go top of the league. And the Halifax thing, it was actually my first selection because I looked at it and it was like it's a final. They both sort of score goals. Wembley pitch. I don't want to say average players, but they're not Premier League players. Just thinking there'll be goals in the game, even though it's a final. So that was that one, beat by a goal, and then on Sunday evening, oh, where's my phone going? On Sunday evening, had Flamingo to win. That was up. Genk, both teams to score was up. Steaua Bucharest, both to score. That was up. Salzburg, both to score. That was up. Lens to win. That was up. And then I was going to put City in the win, but I ended up going for over twos. And they won 1-0, which, yeah, okay, it's a 2-goal loss, but they did score a second. Alvarez scored a second, I think, and it was ruled offside. Or was it Alvarez? Someone scored a second goal, and it was ruled offside. So that kind of, that it was 20 minutes to go then. That might have gave me a good setup for 20 minutes of a sweat, maybe even a decent cash out. So that was my weekend. Frustration, 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 frustration. 4 bets. So in some ways, I'm kind of looking forward to the end of the season. But I know 2 weeks into it, I'll be fucking pulling my hair out because there's nothing to gamble on. I do have ideas about maybe will I do bets over the summer? Maybe. I don't really know. I'll definitely be taking a few weeks off. I'll do next week's episode, which will be Champions League orientated, and I'll review my profit loss sort of for the season, my outright bets, that sort of stuff. And then the week after that, I'll probably take 1 or 2 weeks off the podcast at least, and then I'll be back with gearing up for what I'm looking at for the new season. I have got a plan to try to put away 30 or 40 quid a week, so that I have some funds there for my outright bets and stuff, because obviously I won't be gambling on them, so I'll have a bit of extra money, but that always doesn't work out. But anyway, getting on to the bets. So the Saturday bet, right? So I'll run through it quickly here. Inter versus Atalanta, both to score 4-6. Leipzig to win 8-13. PSG to win 8-13. Lille to win 4-9. And these last two are over 1.5. Las Palmas versus Alvarez. It's in the Spanish Segunda. That's 2-5. And then Roma versus Fiorentina. Over 1.5. That's 2-5 as well. So that bet in total pays about 11-1. If we run through sort of reasons here, Inter Atalanta is just they are both scoring goals at the minute. Leipzig need points to finish where they're finishing. PSG, look, that is dodgy. That's why PSG are 8-13. They've won the league. They've nothing to play for. So that they could put out a B team, but even their B team should really be winning that game. Lille need a result to sort of stay where they are in the league. So that's why I picked them. And the Las Palmas and Alvarez ones are basically just they score a decent amount of goals. So 1.5 should be a reasonable selection. That shouldn't be too hard to get over 1.5. I mean, Roma in that one, Roma have drew their last couple of away games 0 each, but Roma currently sitting just in that Europa Conference League spot, and Juventus are behind them. Now the other issue with that is Roma could win the the Europa, the what are they in? The Europa League, Europa Conference, whatever they're in, Europa League, which would guarantee them in the Champions League next year anyway. Um, so league position they might not care about it. So look, again, we're at that point of the season. You know, you're gonna have to take risks. There's a lot of variables there because you don't know what teams are going to rest players, what teams are um, sort of on the beach because of nothing to play for. It's just yeah. So it's Europa League. They play Seville in the final, which they wouldn't be favourites for that. To be fair, I'm just looking at the price now. They're 2-1. So maybe they do need to finish decently in the league, and keep Juventus out. But I'd say I'll look at the games that have done overs and stuff. You know how I pick those. But I'll look at the German game. Um, so Leipzig play Schalke. They're at home, and they're currently third in the league. Schalke in the relegation zone, so they should be winning that game at home. They have a pretty good home record, third best in the league. And then in the French game, the Lille game, um, they're playing Nantes. They're at home 4-9, currently fifth, only a point clear of Rennes, um, in that Europa Conference spot. So if they want to finish in Europe, they need to win that game. So that's Saturdays. Sunday is a Premier League only bet. Now there is a lot of other games on Sunday, and I'll probably do another bet that is around the Premier League. Um, there's Belgian games on Sunday morning. There's playoff. Carlisle play Stockport in the playoff final. There's Italian games on Sunday. Scottish games. There's games in Spain. So look, Sunday's a decent day, but I just wanted to pick a sort of Premier League only because it'll be on Super Saturday, all that sort of stuff where you can sort of just keep along with it. But I'll probably pick another bet, maybe even two, maybe one in the morning, one at night, depending on the amount of games. So I'll give you Liverpool. That's my first team. I'll give you the Premier League only bet. So Liverpool 2-5. They are away to Southampton. City. City are away to Brentford. They're 7-10, which is a great price. But again, they'll probably rest players. But as you've seen the other night, their B team is probably as good as any other team in the league. Do you know what I mean? So even if they play Alvarez up front and the rest players, they should probably win that game. Palace play Forest. Obviously, Forest safe last week. Palace have had a good run under Roy Hodgson. I just think Forest will down tools. They're safe. Although that could go the other way sometimes when teams are not, when they're safe and they think they'll go out and they'll win 4-0. But I do think Palace have been pretty decent at home since Roy Hodgson came back. Villa Brighton both to score. Again, both teams nothing major to play for. So I think both teams they're sixth and seventh in the league, both technically sitting in European spots. So Villa could drop out because Spurs could go in that and sort of have stuff to play for a bit, but I do expect both teams to score. Next, Leicester West Ham. Now Leicester are sitting in the relegation zone; they need to score. West Ham could rest players, so I think that on that game I'm basically betting that West Ham will score a goal because I do think Leicester will score because I do think West Ham will rest players. And then lastly, United. United play tonight, I think it is, or play midweek here anyway, so they could already be in the Champions League by then. I think they need a point or something tonight, or whenever the game is when they play. Who do they play? Chelsea? Oh, let me double check that. Fixtures for United. So yeah, they play Chelsea tonight and play Fulham, who I backed them against the weekend. So look, I think again Fulham nothing to play for, sitting 10th. United should win that game. That bet comes to 14-1. There's a bit of a bonus on that one. I think it was only about 12-1, but the bonus takes it up to about 14-1. So as I say, look, I'll do other bets, but I just wanted to give it a Premier League bet for Sunday because it's a final day. You want to have something to follow along with while you're watching to see who goes down. Basically, there's not really much else can happen. depending on what happens midweek, yes, Liverpool may have a chance in the Champions League, probably unlikely. But and they have Villa there and stuff, Spurs. There's teams there that can finish in Europa League, and there's still, I think, 2 teams from 3 that can go down. So just something to follow along with. So that's basically it for this week. I'll get this out as soon as possible. Say I'll have one more episode next week, which will be about the Champions League and also just reviewing my season. So yeah, that's basically just it. Just leaves me to say, if you are doing a bet, good luck and happy punting.
Here, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, thanks. Let me find out you fucked up. I'll leave you wherever I find you.